It's just my preparation, honestly. You know, I come to work every day, do the same thing over and over again. You know, I'm just trying to stay consistent. You know, the shots I got in the game is the shots I work out on. So, you know, it just came natural, honestly. Um, you know, just being consistent, honestly. I watch film on the shots that I get in the game. So those are the shots that I constantly work on in my workouts. So when it comes to the game, you know, it's like second nature to me.
Is it as simple as, that eventually shots will fall for you and you just have it's about repetition for you?
Yeah, you know, I'm like it's a miss or make league, so you know I can't really beat myself up on the misses. So you know, even on the makes, I can't get too high. You know, I gotta stay level headed. So you know, I'm just gonna go back to the drawing board and you know just continue to work.
No Paul, obviously, no Joel. A lot of guys playing extended minutes early on in the season. Was there kind of a call, whether just to anyone to step up or to you specifically before this game?
No, honestly, you know, I just go into every game, you know, just with the stay ready mindset, you know, because, you know, I know I haven't been playing, but you know, the way our team is and the way everything is like set up, you know, I just stay ready at all times.
Nick was just talking to us about his confidence in you. He said when he has a bad game, it doesn't even faze me because I love him. I guess just what stands out to you about your relationship with Nick? When did you realize that he had that sort of faith in you, and how encouraging is that for you when you do experience those struggles?
That means a lot coming from Nick, actually. You know, we had a little moment in practice, probably like last month, maybe like a month and a half ago. I was sitting on the sideline, and he was like, "I'm not worried about you, and you shouldn't be worried about yourself, and it's all gonna work out." So you know that honestly, just you know, it shows that you know I've been waiting my turn, and today was my day, honestly.
So what does this win say about y'all? I mean, it just seems like all year, well, it's only been 11 games, but for most of the games, you guys have been able to battle back and pull out, close ones.
Really, our vets. Honestly, you know, Reese in the locker room. You know, we got a lot of guys that's willing to fight and do whatever for each other. And it's all starting with you know Joel and Reese. So you know, when we see those guys coming in every day and working hard, you know, it really trickles down to all of us.
You just talked about Tyrese. You guys are 6-3 in clutch games so far this year, a lot different than last year. Just what has he meant to this team and in setting the tone for the energy this year?
He means a lot, honestly. That's the franchise, man. So you know, but you know, he means a lot to us. Like I said earlier today to the media out there, you know, he's really consistent with everything he does, and you know, for guys like me and everybody else, you know, that's something that we want to do. You know, we want to be in his shoes one day with the you know the contracts and all that stuff. So you know, just staying consistent and you know just coming to work every day, willing to teach, willing to learn, and that you know means a lot to our team.
Besides simply just making shots tonight, like are there elements of your game that either you feel like you worked on during the summer or even just early on in the season that you feel like you could kind of show and apply tonight?
My defense. You know, I always talk about my defense when you guys ask me what's something that I work on. You know, I really take pride in you know my defense because that's something that gets me on the court. You know, my shots, if they fall or if they don't fall, but I know if I do good on the defense and I'll you know make something happen for our team.
The last shot, how did it feel coming out of your hands? What was going through your head?
It didn't feel good, but I shot it. And, you know, like I said, a game winning miss, a little joke, you know, K9 tapped it in. So, you know, all worked out in our favor, right?
Besides that one, there were a couple of those big shots that you made that like gave you guys a lead or tied the game. I can't remember exactly which, but you were pretty animated, which you're a very even-keeled guy. So in those moments when you do get kind of hyped up, like just how does that feel when you know that you
I actually kind of chilled out when I got to the NBA. Honestly, I've always been that type of guy. You guys, Mama, she's standing right there. I've always been a little guy. I've always been the guy, you know, to just, you know, scream. That's how I got myself going as a like high school and college. So, you know, I kind of chilled out, but that was, you know, just a little something, you know, just, you know, I don't know.
So do that at the NBA level, though. Does that feel like
Yeah, and then especially my hometown, you know, it was like it gave me chills, low key, and then I was like, I had to like snap back in because I was like zoned out. Honestly, you know, it was just like everything was just happening so fast.
Do you think coming back home plays any kind of factor in that, kind of getting you back out of your shell?
Yeah, sort of, kind of. I don't think it really has nothing to do with them. It's just me just getting out of my head, honestly, and, you know, just putting all my trust into God and letting everything work out.
Do you remember what you yelled, or is that just, did you just kind of,
I know, but if he say he gonna get a beating.
Well, yeah, she knows. Let's freaking go.
But just talk about that stretch when you had, not what you said, but when when you hit 3 consecutive threes to bring y'all back.
Like I said, I didn't even know I did that. I was just zoned out, honestly. That's actually in one of my workouts, I had to go 20 for 25, and like at 5 spots. And Rico was like, "You just got to zone out." And I guess that's what he meant by it, because I just was shooting and wasn't even really thinking about it. And then when they called timeout, honestly, you telling me I hit 3 threes in a row, that's my first time hearing about it, because I didn't even know I did that.
Nick was also saying that he'd rather you guys be a good fourth quarter team than third quarter team. Obviously, you don't want to fall into those holes, but the fact that you guys have come back in games, has that already build confidence that you guys can do that when you get down?
Yes. Honestly, we talk a lot on having better third quarters, so we won't have to be in that position. But everything doesn't work out in our favor all the time. So we just gotta keep doing what we're doing, and that's one thing that I know we'll do, is to fight back and to win games.
Justin, what do you think has gone wrong in those third quarters? Because it is really the only thing you guys have had that has been a negative mark on the team so far.
I don't think nothing really goes wrong, honestly. We missed a couple shots, but that's part of the game. And I feel like in majority of our games, teams don't really have consecutive runs against us where they're just scoring. And I feel like most teams get their run against us in the third quarter. So it's basketball, guys. So we just gotta keep working. Honestly, watch film and see what we can do to change that.